to season 4 of Girl Talk with J.Belle. I'm going to go ahead and just throw that applause in there right there. All right. Okay. I got a brand new system and I'm excited because I'm using it on my first guest. She did the most boss ass thing ever.
Oh, man.
Okay. So first off, Clubhouse hit us like a ton of bricks when it came out. Nobody knew what it was. It was sort of an elite app you can invite people on. Then all of a sudden, you see a flyer about the Lion King on Clubhouse. Now, I didn't see about the auditions. I just saw about the performance. And so I'm like, what is this? What is going on? And I was like, well, let me check it out. It was Christmas weekend. And I see all the reviews because, Black Twitter will tear you up or cheer you up. And I was like, I'm going to check this out. I already know because it's going to be bomb because Rick Party, the legendary Rick Party.
Rick Party, man.
Yes, was a part of it. He was a narrator and he did his thing. And this is the woman behind it all, Noelle Chesnut Whitmore. That is an actress name. Okay, let's go ahead and give her applause. Yes, there we go. There we go. You guys are going to love this because I know all the hotkeys. Welcome to the first episode of my podcast. How are you?
I am doing so good. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Wednesday. Happy week 2 of 2021, man. The second Wednesday of the new year. I hope that you are blessed, and I hope that everyone who is listening to this is blessed and that they have a prosperous year.
Listen, put the blessings over us because we need one. The blessings. Because that first week we was like, this is the free trial. We want to take that back. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about it because let's just say this time last week, I was flying back from Mexico and was wondering why I was flying back to the United States because of these people who were storming the Capitol. So I'm glad that this Wednesday is better than last Wednesday. Let's say that.
Exactly. And by the time that this airs, the Orange Man will be out of office. Let's give it applause for that. Yes.
Let's go for that. We love that is happening.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of turmoil going on in our world right now, and it sucks, but we have to look up and hope that it gets better over this year and going forward. That's what we want to talk about. But we're going to talk about you right now, Noelle, because, girl, when I was reading your resume, shout out to your PR, your publicist, Icy, because, I mean, she was on it.
Man.
When you have Black women running things, it's a...
Man, and then even like the way that Icy came about, like obviously, like I've never done press at this level. I'm a behind the scenes girl. So this is just, she's been killing it. Shout out to Icy.
Right. So we're gonna go back a little bit though. So first thing I want to get into,
way back.
Yes, back into time. Listen, I'm trying to get on Rick Party's level of voiceover. So let's get back in. Let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about your background some. When I was reading, you started in the music industry at 15 as a singer and a multi-instrumentalist.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I get some vocals before I ask my question?
Oh man. What vocals do you want?
Just give me something, anything, a scat or a run, or let these people know that you multi-talented.
I get so weak in the knees, I can hardly speak. I lose all control and something takes over me. And a day your love so amazing, it's not a phase. I want you to stay with me by my side. I swallow my pride. Your love is so sweet. It knocks me right off of my feet. Can't explain why your love, it makes me weak.
Oh my God, these hotkeys are gonna be on fire today. That deserves, girl. Girl. Now let me ask you. I'm going right into. Now, why did you switch over from the music of being a
And,
singer into the business side of the music industry with a voice like that?
oh man, so I started with music as like similar to what you had said, like as a multi-instrumentalist. Like I was the only woman in the high school band who was in the drum line, and I played snare and I played piano and I played the flute and I sang. And around 15, 16, I was kind of going through the process of like shopping labels and kind of, the process of what really is required in order to be an artist at that age. And like this, we're talking about early 2000s at this point. So, the industry was a lot different. You had to be like the prime age was 16 to 23. If you go older than that, then, you're probably not necessarily going to, be considered marketable.
Right.
Um, and I was coming off of like the wave and the amazingness that is Alicia Keys. So like I was a singer songwriter who was playing the keys, and at the end of the day, the process of going through the trying to shop labels and development and all that stuff, I realized that I wanted to just be a kid. Like I was 16, and like
Mm.
I was spending hours and hours in studios and writing songs, and didn't really get to, have like the normal childhood. Like,
Right.
and at some point in time, it just stopped being fun.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a lot like work, but like at the end of the day, like I was 16, I was still a kid. Like I wanted to just be a kid. Um, and I had had some like really challenging, rough circumstances that like a bad taste gave me a bad taste in my mouth as it pertained to the music industry, and just like
Right.
very early on,
Mm-hmm.
that instead of throwing away music as a whole, I decided that I was going to make a pivot and that I was going to go pursue a degree in music industry studies. So after I had graduated high school, I got accepted into Cal State Northridge's music industry studies program, where I was a piano music industry studies major, Pan African studies minor, and my primary instrument was piano. So,
Oh.
and I thought I wanted to be an A&R, and I didn't end up being an A&R. So,
Well, you know what? You are on the path that God gave you, because I'm going to this what I'm glad that you said that, because this is my next question to you. You started producing your own concerts at 19 while you
mhm,
were in college.
mhm.
And you worked with some pretty big artists in the game. From the list I saw, Trey Songz, I think Kanye West at one point. These are some pretty big artists. And
Yeah.
so, what are some of the lessons that you learned as you started producing concerts and you're moving into this part of the industry versus what you were in before?
Yeah, so like I'm from the Inland Empire. I'm from a city called Victorville, California. It's in Southern California. It's a really small town, i.e. what's up, stand up all day. Like I rep from my home. Cause a lot of people from, who might be from the IE kind of, as you transition and move to Los Angeles, which is where I reside, they say they're from LA. And I try to do my best to let the people that I'm from know that I exist, that I'm here, and that so I can hopefully inspire some people who come from where I come from to know that there's things that you can do outside of the city, and you can represent and hold that city on your map, the on your back all day. So I have to always say that I'm from the IE. But given like kind of my introduction into the live space, it's like there was a guy in back home who was throwing concerts, and my cousin and I were like, well, let's throw one too. Not understanding like what that meant, but like, okay, cool. Like 19-year-old, we'll figure it out. We'll put together our money and we'll figure it out. So it was me, my cousin Jordan Richards, and two of his friends, Mide Osafeso and Thomas. I can't remember. So that was like our initial group, and then it kind of expanded from there. Um, but yeah, we just were like, okay, we're gonna book. Me and Jordan were like, okay, who could we do it? Who can we get do the show? And at this point, it was, Asher Roth was popping because he had come out with I Love College at the time. We're like, okay, what was
Oh,
that?
oh, I remember that. I remember him. Yeah, he
I
was really
Love
big.
College. I don't remember what the song was, but something like that. And then, like, again, this is 2009. So, like, Trey Songz had just come off of, his first album and then had started releasing all these mixtapes and had was generating a huge, like,
Right.
buzz around his name. And we're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, let's do Trey Songz. We know that he's about to come out with his Ready album, which ended up being like a huge album for him.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we threw Trey's show in the Inland Empire in San Bernardino at the Fox Theater in San Bernardino.
Mm-hmm.
And then what would lead into that would be a performance from Miguel, the Miguel. At that point in time, I had fallen like in love with Miguel. He had not signed, I think, a major label deal at that point. So like I had found and discovered Miguel in my MySpace days, and I was like, this man is
Wow.
amazing. And then YG at the time was still like in doing like the club circuit. I had known his managers or who he was working with, which one of his managers he still works with, Brandon and Joel, who were some promoters in Los Angeles in the era when I had first moved to college. I was, kind of trying to be in the club promoter scene. Wasn't necessarily what I ended up doing long term, but had become, cool with a bunch of people during that time. And then we had Audio Push, who is a group from back where I'm from and was signed to Hit Boy. We had so basically, as the show continued to develop, we had started receiving phone calls from people who wanted to be a part of the show. And one of the calls that we had gotten was from someone from Young Money, and they were like, "We want to add one of our new artists, which was Little Twist, to this performance." And we were like, okay, bet we'll add him, but we want Lil Wayne and we want Drake.
Mm. That's a good negotiation, though.
Like we want Lil Wayne, we want Drake. And there was some incident. I don't know what happened at the time, but
Mm.
Lil Wayne wasn't able to come. But then Drake came. And basically it was supposed to be, this introduction of Little Twist, a part of Young Money and all this stuff. And what it ended up turning into was Tyga ended up showing he was gonna supposed to perform, but he didn't end up performing.
Mm.
And what it ended up is this magical surprise moment where, Invented Sex had come out with Trey and Drake, and they had already done, so I think it was Successful or
Oh
something
yeah,
off
that
of
was a
one
big
of
record.
Drake's mixtapes at that point. So there was already a lot of synergy and buzz surrounding the collaboration between the two. So Drake ended up coming out as a surprise guest for Invented Sex. And
Wow.
people lost their shit. Like, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm able to cuss, but
No, you're fine.
they lost it. They lost it. And that for me is when I fell in love with creating experiences. And that's when I knew that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life because we were able to create an opportunity and a space for fans, no matter what they had gone through, whether they had been stressed out from work,
Mm-hmm.
whether they had a bill that they couldn't pay, whether they had someone who was sick or whatever, we were able, even for that moment, to create an escape where they were able to fully immerse themselves into experience, not only with their favorite artists, but with people that they didn't know and enjoy an experience that would ultimately bring them joy. And then I became addicted to that, and I needed to figure out how I was going to do that for a living. And then after that, I have been on this journey for the past 11 years in live production, working with a bunch of amazing companies, working with a bunch of brands and artists. And I'm very, very blessed and favored to be able to have done this as long as I've done it in a very short amount of time at a very young age. Like my introduction to this was literally 19 years old. So
And you
we
killing it
lost a
again.
bunch of money. We did not make a profit.
Mm.
I used my financial aid money to
Wow.
come up with the deposit. on my side, and a bunch of us had done the same to secure this. And then we didn't know what we were doing. But it was the most profound, most largest learning moment in my entire career. Than I'm a huge advocate for school, but I had learned more in that experience than I had ever learned in a classroom. And I was like, how do I do this again?
Wow. The hustle, the
Mm-hmm.
grind, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you invested in yourself is wow. I think that's a story that definitely needs to be heard over and over again, because too many of us, we get scared at the first rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so with that saying, with everything that you grinded and hustled to get to, I want to ask you: is it still difficult to create your own space within this industry in the marketing production world, especially being a Black woman in Hollywood?
Mm-hmm. So I think so my journey is interesting. So majority of my journey has been within the corporate space. I worked for the Grammys for a bit. I worked at a talent agency for a bit. I worked at an experiential marketing agency that did like a bunch of like luxury brand fashion shows and launches and stuff. And then I just ended my 5 year stint with Golden Voice that does Coachella and Stagecoach and Camp Flognog. So I've been able to figure out creating a lane for myself and like really owning who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But that journey took a while. Like it took a while for me to be unapologetically me and understanding that in every room, every building, in or out of the building that I bring value, and not to compromise or settle for anything less than what I know I deserve at any given time. So I understand that, we got to hustle, we got to grind, you got to pay your dues. But at some point in time, I think this is a little bit more of a difficult transition when it comes to women. And it's a two-part thing. It's like how we see ourselves, as well as how, industry allows themselves, like putting labels on us and putting us in box that is not truly encompassing what we know we can accomplish, nor how we define ourselves. So I made the decision this year during a pandemic. This pandemic has been a blessing, that I was going to take my power back. I was not going to allow anybody or anything to box me in,
Right.
and that I was going to be reminded of who I am and whose I am, and that I serve a God that will always provide for me, period. And that if something does not feel right, honor that and understand that that's usually a protection
Mm-hmm.
of something that is not supposed to be for you, and don't force something to be that's not supposed to be. Don't do your due diligence, don't follow up, don't not follow up and do that part. But there's only so many times that you can extend,
Right.
yourself in a way that is not feeling like that fine line of desperation and hustle
Mm-hmm.
and like determination. And one thing that I realized as I've grown in my career, and I've been in this game for a minute, is that the people, the jobs, the opportunities that God has for me will not miss me as long as I get out of my own way. So I think to answer your question, I think I have had a very difficult time figuring out my place in this
Mm-hmm.
business, but it was one of those things, in hindsight now, I can understand was through each situation, each struggle, each process, I got something added to my toolkit that I needed in order for me to be where I'm at right now. Which is within a building, is someone who will always be myself because I have no one else that I can be. And at this point, I'm responsible for not only, doing my job and performances for this company, but being myself and being a vessel, as
Yeah.
well as being a representation for my people, which is a Black woman within this America. And if I don't come in within a building or any system and make it better, and or a better opportunity for someone who looks like me or anybody
Right.
after me, then what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And I know that's easier said than done. And I'm offering myself grace in understanding and learning what that looks like daily. But it's one of those things that I've come to within the past year that I'm not willing to compromise anymore. So whether I'm in a building or whether I'm doing my own projects with more music or accidentally doing the Lion King and making it go viral, I've accepted my power and I'm walking in that, and I'm not letting anybody or anything or myself get in the way of that, and understanding that it's a constant process that I have to go through and be reflective and being intentional and honestly listen to God so I don't my ego don't get in the way, because ego is usually one of the biggest determining factors of the destruction of your journey. And I don't want me to not be able to touch the people I'm supposed to or get to where I'm supposed to go because I'm full of myself.
Ooh, that last part right there, that is strong. I, that was a word, a sermon. I'm sorry, I got to do the applause on that. You know, because I mean that you really did hit it on the head, though. You really did, and the fact that you have accomplished so much, as like you said, at a young age, you're able to give yourself that grace, or as Beyonce said in her, in the latest edition of, I think it was Vogue, British Vogue, she's able to give herself joy because she's done everything that she's wanted to do. And obviously there's still a lot of things that you want to do as you grow more and more into your career, but you've already done so much that you're able to take that break and really do what's best for you. And the fact that you said you're taking back your power, that hit, because I'm in that same process of trying to take back my power. There's so many times in my life and in my career that I as I grow, that I've settled too many times. Mm-hmm. And so this is why I started, and I say this every season. I know people that probably listen, and they're like, oh my God, here she goes again. You're going to hear my story, damn it. Okay? This is how we're going to do it. But this is the reason why I started this platform, this podcast, because I want people to understand that this is not an easy journey to take. Nope. And and when you're, especially if you're a Black woman working in this space, it's triple times hard. Yep. Because there's so many that want to push you out, block you out. You have your gatekeepers that hold on or dangle these positions over you. And you get to a point where you're so damn frustrated that you want to create your own damn space. Yep. You bring your own crap, your own shit, because this is my show, your own shit to the table. Because you know what you have to offer. And so I'm so glad that you said that, and I'm so glad that you're in that process at your age, because I'm 35 and I'm learning this, and it's better to learn now than never. Fact. And so this takes me to my next question to you. You already answered your question about being a Black woman and your spaces. Like you said, you were working a part of Coachella, and you were also one of the executives when it came down to Sunday service in 2019.
So I will add a slight correction. So at Golden Voice, I did festival marketing, artist relations, and production. Okay. And usually I do artist relations. I serve as the artist relations team, guest relations for Coachella main stage. Okay. And when Kanye got confirmed for Coachella 2019 towards the tail end in like March, I got to expand my role outside of just, in addition to Coachella, artist relations for main stage. I also got to do artist relations for Sunday service, which expanded into me kind of low-key me serving as one of the producers on the Golden Voice side in collaboration with Kanye's team, with a collaboration with the Golden Voice production team, to ultimately see this thing through. And man, oh man.
I was going to say, how was that experience? Because it, like you said, it was confirmed at the end of March, but it was kind of like a secret for a second before it wasn't a secret anymore. Like when people say, oh, they got secretly married. it's not much of a secret anymore if you now you're telling everybody. So, how are you able to keep that secret? How are you able to keep that under wraps?
So it was a secret slash not a secret.
Right.
Like, it's no different than any other festival booking. It's like when you're dealing with a art, you have to, the process is you got to confirm the artist,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, and then you announce it when you announce it. So it's like it wasn't any more of a secret than any of the other process of like when we book talent. I think in this scenario, which made it interesting is just the nature of the fact that it was literally a mini festival within a large festival. And
Mm-hmm.
we had less than like a month to pull it off top to bottom, from like the marketing and the announcement of it, which I also led on that side with the rest of the marketing team, to the execution of the event on Easter Sunday weekend to a Coachella. Um, and it was one of those things where I wouldn't say it was necessarily a secret. It was just one of those things where it's like, I don't fully know, so don't quote me, but I don't think in my understanding of the Coachella history that anything like this had gotten confirmed this late, outside of, I think, Prince.
Right.
Like Prince got confirmed for Coachella kind of relatively last minute, but I don't even know the timeline of how that had happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I know during the time that I had been there, which was 5 years, that nothing like that had gotten added that last minute, to the point where we were trying to figure out where the hell this was going to go. And when I say we, Golden Voice.
Right.
Golden Voice as a team was trying to figure out where are we going to do this performance, because obviously when you're dealing with any creative, especially Kanye, he comes with a vision and a dream, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to, make sure any event producer, any promoter, anyone who is responsible for putting together live performances, especially in collaboration with artists and their art and their vision, you want to execute as close to that vision as possible within reason, and obviously the parameters and budget and guidelines that you have to ultimately report to, from like a city level to an internal level. So it was one of those things that was so profound and such a profound moment in my career,
Mm-hmm.
outside of this Lion King stuff, that like I know I made 16, 15, 16, 19-year-old Noelle proud. And the fact that I am now included in the Coachella documentary, which is going to be a legacy piece from my family and my future kids,
Wow.
that I will, as there was two, I was there were two Black women in that documentary. It was me and Beyonce.
Wow. And that's still crazy that Beyonce was the first and only Black woman to ever headline Coachella. But she did leave a damn mark. We'll say
A
that.
whole damn mark.
It was a homecoming for real.
And as someone who was working main stage when all of that was happening and got a behind the scenes look of all of what that was,
Stop playing.
that she the GOAT. She's the GOAT for a
So
reason.
everything about the stories, everything is real. Like when you
I
saw.
mean, I don't know what stories you talking
Well,
about,
I
but
mean, like her worth ethic.
well, so I can't speak to seeing her
Mm-hmm.
particularly, but I'm saying the way that her and her team move
Okay.
is just like they are a force. They are a force, and
Beyonce don't play.
so professional, and it was amazing to experience up close in person.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Your story is amazing. And the fact that you got to work with some of the biggest, not even like, we talked about Trey Songz, we talked about Drake, but you got to work with Kanye,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a creative genius that is honestly misunderstood, but we all pray for him because of the fact that we know he hasn't been the same since his mom passed away.
Right, exactly.
But the fact that you got to work not even closely with Beyonce, but Beyonce's team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 6 degrees of separation. It's like she right there on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that a lot of us would take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And to be one of the 2 Black women in this documentary, they should have never let me get this high key, okay? that I love it and I enjoy it, and I love seeing young women like yourself really breaking the mold. You know, we're not the same type of women our parents expected us to be the generation before. You know,
Mm.
married by 25, having 3 babies by the time we 30, and just being a housewife. No, women like you are out here making spaces. And that is awesome. So now let's get down to the nitty gritty of why we got you here. You know, because the Lion King on Clubhouse broke
And
records. uh the limit of room you can have on Clubhouse is 5,000. You had either a little bit above that or right at it for
mm-hmm,
both shows.
mm-hmm,
And when I tell you from my personal experience, because I was live tweeting while it was happening, I watched the second showing. I enjoyed every bit. I was up there like, oh my God, Mufasa, no. Singing the songs. Your actors and actresses and narrators were on point. Um, Nyla, who, you know, we love
not
Beyonce.
Laja.
Well, no, I'm just saying the character
Oh,
Nyla.
oh, 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 oh.
The girl the woman and the
Me,
singer that played Nyla,
Nyla. Uh-huh.
they, I love Beyonce, but they were way better than her. You know what I'm saying? And when you have that, you got
Mm-hmm.
gold. Mufasa, he was awesome too. I loved Mufasa. I was like, who is he? I got to search for him on Twitter. So let's. How did this project come together?
Oh man. Oh man. It's true magic and Jesus. So oh man. So I can't start this conversation without like starting how I even came to Clubhouse.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
I joined Clubhouse September 9th, which is my happens to be my daddy's birthday, after having a conversation with my homie Thurs about not feeling inspired. Like, I COVID knocked out my whole industry that I have literally been dedicated to for the past 11 years.
Right.
And what was supposed to be probably one of the most craziest, most hectic, festival cycles, literally in the matter in the blink of an eye got disappeared in the matter of seconds. And even like I remember the last day in the office was like around March 15th. We thought we were all coming back in like a month, 2 or 3. Like we had seen
Mm-hmm.
China had opened back up after 3 months. So we were like, okay, we'll be back and we'll see y'all soon.
Right.
Not knowing that what this would be, shoot, it's crazy. It'll be a year in March that we've been in quarantine. Like that's insane. So, obviously that is takes an impact and a toll on people's creativity, especially everyone who's been impacted. Like we were live events and so many other industries were the first to go and are likely the last to come back. So that's a lot of displacement of workers and people who have been so passionate about, committing themselves to this craft that are now having to rethink what a year, 2 years looks like. So for me, I just be honest, like I was a little depressed and very uninspired. And I'm like, and even with like the more music stuff, which is another piece that I know we're going to talk to that has brought me so much joy. I couldn't even do that because I couldn't do in-person panels and I didn't have any interest in, you know, trying to recreate what I know I had created in person. It didn't translate on Zoom. It didn't translate on Instagram. So I was just like, no, whenever we get done with this, I'll bring everything back. So I was very uninspired. I was very sad. And I was just in my house trying to figure out like what the hell I'm about to do with my life. Um, and then my homie, Thurs Kofi, was like, have you heard about Clubhouse? You should join Clubhouse. And I was like, what the hell is a Clubhouse? And I Googled Clubhouse and I had found some articles. And then when I saw some of like the images of what it was, I immediately remembered. So I follow Fadia Kadar and I know, and we've worked with each other. And
Mm-hmm.
I know her from who works at Instagram, and she had been posting about it. And I was like, oh, this is the thing that Fadia had been posting about. So I registered, got added to the app later on that evening. And then that same week is when I had first experienced the Cotton Club, which is what Bumani, who served as one of our musical directors, was a virtual club on an app, a virtual club with music and drinks
We're serving our own drinks.
and food and full club experience on an app. And I was so confused slash inspired. And that was what ultimately allowed me, was my first week on Clubhouse, was like, you can think outside of the box. If these fools, I mean, not fools, I love them. Love you, Kadir. Love you, Bumani. But if they can do a whole virtual club experience on Clubhouse, what else can I do? So after my first week on Clubhouse, I had gotten inspired and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to bring my more music panels back on here, because it feels like what I've been able to do in person at the Grammy Museum. So I had been doing those every other week. And then, so that's how I met Bumani.
Right.
And Bumani and I have established an amazing relationship and a creator partnership and collaboration, not only on Lion King, but on a variety of other things. Like, that is my partner in fun, for real. And so, yeah, that's how I met Bumani. And then to kind of introduce how the whole concept of what would ultimately lend up to being the Lion King came about and ultimately planted the seed in my mind is on Halloween, in one of my social rooms, I did Thriller, like a production of Thriller. We were playing in one of my rooms. I had asked everyone to change their profile picture to a white image, and we were trying to do the wave. I was trying to get everyone to go down the line with their audio or with their profile picture so the ring would go all the way down. And then Quinn was in one of the rooms, who is a member of Blackstreet. And he was like, I was like, yo, Quinn, like, can you read the intro to Thriller? And he was like, what? And I was like, can you read the intro to Thriller? So then he read it. And then Motown Lee, who is one of the producers of One Music Fest, was also in the room. And he turned on Thriller. And I was like, y'all, we should do, like, everybody change, like, we should do Thriller real quick. Everyone keep your profile white. Everyone be quiet. Everyone go off mute so you don't see the mute icon. So it just is a clear white image. Quinn, you read intro. Motown, when Motown plays, everyone change your profile picture to any scary monster, just anything scary. And then the music came on, and then the do 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 do. I told everyone, tap your mic to represent the Thriller. And then it came together in like an hour and a half. Wow. And then we ended up going from room to room trying to attempt to do the performance in other people's rooms. It did not go well. And then I had a little Tron moment. I was bad. So there was a rumor that Drake had joined the app, and we started a Welcome Aubrey Graham room. And everybody who was a part of the Thriller cast joined the room, and everybody kept coming into the room thinking that Drake was coming. We're like, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. And then we ran Thriller, and we ran it back like 4 or 5 times. And like, it was so funny. The first time we had done it, there were people in the audience who were like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. And then more people from the community and from the room ended up joining, and then it turned into a thing. And then that was it. But at least at that point, the seed had already been planted of like, I had done a mini theatrical performance on Clubhouse. So what would end up becoming the additional pieces, which is Bumani is a huge innovator on that app and has brought in so many amazing things on that app. And Bumani is literally the app icon right
I
now
was
because
saying,
he's so amazing.
I keep hearing that name. That's like I saw him on the app
Yes,
icon.
Mr. App Icon is so amazing. So he had been hosting these jam sessions where he would just be playing the guitar, and that's kind of the first place where I started actually singing. Like I haven't sung in forever, but I have become. There's certain people who know me on the app as a singer now
Mm-hmm.
and don't know any of my background.
Wow.
So I had started singing on the app. And then that's where we had met Cam. So Cam is ultimately the other musical director that worked with Bumani. And we were all playing and singing and doing all this stuff. And then that's when Chris Boogie, who ended up being Mufasa, had came into the room. I guess him and Bumani had connected prior. He had recognized Bumani's name, had come into the room, had listened to us singing. He raised his hand,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when he first spoke. And I was like, dog, your voice is insane. Like, you sound just like James Earl Jones. And have you ever done like voice acting before? Because like this doesn't make any sense. Like, this is crazy. So then he had said no, and I was like, okay, me and my random ask, I was like, can you read Green Eggs and Ham? And he was like, sure. So he read Green Eggs and Ham for us. And then Bumani, I don't think that was like the moment. So he read Green Eggs and Ham. I think Bumani may have played the guitar in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was it. That was that first moment. And then fast forward, I had started a Noelle plus Noelle room because this was the first app that I had ever seen this many Noelles. So I'm like, oh, I need all these Noelles to pull up so that we can all have a Noelle moment and meet each other. So that is Noelle Braham had joined that room, and Miles Greer and Noelle Braham are friends. So
Mm.
that is how Miles got introduced to the piece, which Miles is an actor. So
Right.
then a magical moment, short, like I think all this happened in a matter of a week.
Wow.
And then I had started a room where me, Bumani, Miles, and Cam were in it. And then Chris ended up coming. And I was like, oh my gosh, y'all need to hear this man's voice. So we brought Chris up. I asked him to read Green Eggs and Ham again. Bumani and Cam played the music behind him again. And then so this is crazy. So when there was a moment where in one of the other rooms, I think one of Bomani's social rooms, where Leland, who ended up being Simba's vocal double,
Mm.
had created this Photoshop image of Bomani's baby head on top of Simba with Rafiki raising him up. So somehow, some way, that photo ended up in the room, and someone had changed it. I think Bumani had changed it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, do Lion King. I was like, do Lion King. So Chris was like, okay, well, I'll read something from Lion King only, but I want someone else, like only if someone else reads Simba. And Miles was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll read Simba.
Mm.
And yeah, I had literally, I don't know if you want me to do it, but I have the audio clip of like the room of when it happened. And it was
Yes,
from
please play
there.
that.
Yes, I'll play it real quick. Hold on.
Yes, that's great context. So when listeners are listening into this, they're like, "This is a story, but I want to hear it all." You know, like, that would be
Yeah, so
awesome.
here it is. Hold on. Simba, I'm very disappointed in you. I know. You could have been killed. You deliberately disobeyed. And what's worse, you put Nala in danger. I was just trying to be brave like you. I'm only brave when I have to be. Simba, being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble. But you're not scared of anything. I was today. You were? Yes. I thought I might lose you. Oh, I guess even King's scared, huh? Mm-hmm.
think those hyenas were even scared. Because nobody messes with your dad.
That you can stop it right there. That right there. I can hear James Earl Jones all in his voice.
Exactly.
Oh my God. And I can hear Simba. Like that. Oh my God. If you didn't see their faces, that you definitely you can hear Mufasa and Simba in that moment. And another listen, I love this applause, but listen, when I figure out the rest, I'm gonna have more context into that. But that is awesome. That's the moment that kicked off everything. And then once you guys completed 2 shows, TMZ picked up the story. Of course, you know, they said it wrong. And Icy once again got on it to make sure they understood who actually created this. And this is who we're talking to. And the fact that you came from a place that a lot of us was probably dealing with as creatives, to get to this place of creating something so great and setting the blueprint, because you know we just saw that Dreamgirls were having the auditions, and then they're getting ready to do their version of Clubhouse with Dreamgirls. So that brings me to my next question. First of all, like, congratulations again, because I mean the countless stories, countless outlets that have picked it up and really put it out there. It shows what you can do with this app. If you get through all the foolishness of the app. Let's just be honest. There's a lot of foolishness on there. Some of you fools don't need Clubhouse. And that's just the honest to God truth. But wait a minute. Hold on a second. It looked like my audio might have went out.
Oh no.
There you go. Because you weren't talking. That's what it was. Okay. Ooh, I got nervous. Okay. I'm glad I got this. I just bought this new Rodecaster Pro, and it is my best friend. I'm just going to say that.
We love best friends.
Yes. Best friends. That's what
Shout
we
out
need.
to my best friends.
So, yes. So, you got it picked up on countless outlets. And Icy was on the ball. And so my next question to you is, will you ever go through the process of doing something like that again?
Oh, honey, yes.
Wait a minute. Oh. Uh-oh. Hopefully I didn't lose you. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Yes and yes and yes. Yes, yes and yes. I cannot wait. To do it again. We have some exciting things that we are waiting to kind of just get, finalized. Before we do our next one and make the next announcement. But absolutely, we will be doing it again.
Ooch. I'm excited. You make sure you tag me so I can interview you for my other segment, the Gossip Minute, because I want to have you on there to promote it. And I want to be on the front center. I want to be listening to it. Front row. I want to be on the top row listening. You know what I'm saying?
Like, she's trying to make sure she don't get kicked out the room.
You got me. You feel me? I'll keep the app just because of that, because you definitely set the standard. And so with that being said, you got some things coming down the pipeline. But let's talk about your newest venture that you were speaking about earlier, More in Music. What is the objective of this project?
Oh man. So More Music is like, after, taking a moment of just thinking and reflecting about my career and my journey in music and wanting to really give back, and also just recognizing some of the moments where, us as an industry, us as a community can improve. As well as like understanding, like, I have a heart for children, I have a heart for kids, and like thinking and reflecting on my journey, like, man, if we all knew what we knew at the age of 9, how that would significantly change the trajectory of our career. Like, just looking at my career alone, like I'm very fortunate and blessed to have started at a very young age, and how that has helped shape and kind of pushed me to a level of like discovery where I didn't have to figure out what I wanted to do. I've known what I wanted to do for a very long time. And like, and I'm very blessed that my parents were able to, expose me to a variety of different things that allowed that process to take place a lot quicker. than it does for some other people who are still just trying to figure out what their purpose is and what they want to do. And I am blessed to be able to have known that for a while. And understanding that, we as a community have a collective responsibility to educate one another, and that there's some really, really deep rooted issues within the industry, not just the music industry, but the industry as a whole, entertainment industry as a whole, that operates in a place of fear of losing your position. So I have to hold all this information close to my chest, which some like, there's a difference between asking somebody for something that they've invested their time and energy and done for years, and you're asking it for free. It's another thing to ask for guidance and direction on like processes and how they should navigate an industry that is different or new, that they don't know how to navigate. So I decided to be extremely intentional about hosting panel conversations that showcase and highlight a variety of different, aspects of the music industry and careers in the music industry, understanding that a lot of the ways in which people consume music is through audio and visual. And if that's the only thing that you have no idea you can be a manager or a lighting designer or a music director or a music director or a bass player or an A&R. And really trying to pulling back the curtain and kind of highlighting a bunch of my homies, as well as just amazing, industry people, and showcasing and sharing their stories at all levels. Like on a more music panel, you will get the perspective of not only an assistant manager, coordinator, but also like all levels. Like I want to dispel this notion that you only have information that you can provide and share that is valuable if you're on the director, president, or above.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not the case. If you're an assistant who's been able to penetrate and get into the music industry, you have information that is helpful to someone who is trying to navigate and understand how to get into the music business. And I'm not saying, say that you're an expert, because I think we've seen how that has gone left, especially on Clubhouse, where people are trying to act like they're have more experience than they do. But
Mm-hmm.
what I am saying is speak to your journey where you are at, and understand that there is someone literally underneath you or to the left or to the right of you that you can share with in a way that is ultimately going to create a culture of empowerment with one another, as well as create a healthy industry that allows for collaboration, ownership, growth, and opportunity, especially for like my panels that I produce. And the organization is not exclusively for communities of color, but I do prioritize communities of color because we know that there's a huge disparity, especially access to this information, that our white counterparts don't have that same problem. I showcase and highlight a variety of different perspectives, not only just from a diverse background of like race, but also a diverse background of like life. Where are you from? What is your background? Who are you? Are you a woman? Are you a man? Like there's a variety. Like I try to, in every panel that I do, allow an opportunity for someone to see themselves in each of the people who are speaking. And because we are all multi-layered, multi-dimensional people, we don't always get the opportunity to show that. So many of the times when we enter a room, you see women, Black first, and you don't get to showcase the different layers of who you are. So my goal with More Music is to educate the community about the different career paths in music, create a culture of empowerment, and ultimately create a better, not only industry, but a better world, because we understand the influence that the music industry has on the world. And we need to understand that, hopefully people understand, like if your first introduction to the music industry is not based off of being taken advantage of, not based off of, someone being mean to you, that you will ultimately likely not fall into the cycle of thinking that the only way for you to do good business is if you're an ass. And that's
Mm.
not my truth. That's not my truth. And I know that's not a bunch of other people's truth. So
Right. Right. And I'm glad that you said that because in music, radio, entertainment, period, you got, like I said earlier, you got the gatekeepers. They act like asses, in order for you to get an opportunity. So I'm definitely glad that you're doing something like this. I mean, like I said, I don't need to say anything else. You said it all. You spoke a sermon, messages, all that good shit.
Mhm.
I don't want to have to repeat it. So I'm gonna ask you this: um, what do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh man. Um, so I have a new job that I'm super excited about. I see myself working with them
Okay.
likely still. Um, continuing to expand um the more music brand and try to impact and touch and inspire as many people, young people, and just the industry as a whole as um, possible, so that people can feel less lonely. Like this industry sometimes we work in these silos and we think that we're the only one dealing with this stuff. And one of my experience working through these panels is that it's been such a freeing experience for people to see and feel that they're not the only ones. So continuing to kind of broaden my territory and expand in that way of like trying to create positivity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think is continuing to, it's so funny. I had thought that I was, well, it's still like my normal 9 to 5. I did shut my music industry production, live production, like day to day
Mm-hmm.
chapter, but I do see myself very much so still doing freelance or project based like event production stuff. Like I'm still going to be working with Golden Voice, probably doing artist relations stuff, which I'm super excited about. But honestly, I think it's a combination of like, developing, working within a business structure potentially, but also, doing my own thing. Like I think there's a beautiful thing about being able to work without limits and creating, you know, having the power to create whatever you want at any given time without having to report to anybody else or to get permissions. So I think it's maybe a combination of working with, within a company, but also still doing my own thing and allowing myself space to think freely, and do whatever comes to mind. I think personally, I think it's a matter of like, continuing to grow, like to grow my family, to have children. Like legacy is huge for me. So I want to any and everything I do is for my family, and for my future children. So, having some children that are ultimately going to, you know, I put in the work that I put in right now for them, even though they're not here yet. Um, and ultimately to make my family proud and to be a vessel and to be a light and understand that my purpose on this earth is to shine a light and to continue to walk in purpose and be an example of God's light personified through me. Um, and I understand that that's, a daily journey. And I offer myself grace when I don't leave, like, you know, deliberately or always perform at the level that I know I need to. But I think that's the journey. So, balancing personal peace, balancing work life balance, as well as, making my family proud. Like I got some career goals and some like personal goals. Like I want to buy a house. Like I want to do all these things that are, sure, connected to financial stuff, but like at the end of the day, it has everything to do with legacy and generational wealth and breaking curses and like creating a better place and opportunity for me and my people. So I don't think it's necessarily a tangible of like, oh, I want to be the executive, blah, 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 blah at this company. Like, nah, I think a lot of that is understanding that there's a level of planning that is required and I can put set goals. But I think the foundation in which I want to operate is maintaining peace and ownership of my story, my narrative, and who I am, and not compromising that over the not only for the next 5 years, but for the rest of my life,
Mm-hmm.
as well as putting myself, my family, and all people in a position of power where they can continue to break generational curses, build generational wealth, and build legacy and create impact that is ultimately going to help change this world. So
you got a big long list of stuff you want to do in the next 5 years. But the main theme I'm seeing is you want to leave a legacy that makes your family proud.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
And so for my last question, before we start playing a game of Black Card Revolt, in one sentence,
Oh Lord.
do you have any words of wisdom for women that aspire to be in the music industry? Period.
Be yourself, love yourself, maintain your power, and walk with purpose and intention, and trust God.
There you go.
There
All
you go.
right. I love it. I love it. All right. So we're going to play a game of Black Card Revolt. We're going to have the fun part. Yes. Let me figure out my keys right quick. You going to hear a little bit? That's laughter. Okay. There we go. Oh. Got a little rock music. Okay.
Hey.
There we go. So if you get
I
it
hope I
wrong,
don't get one of those.
that's what you're going to get. All right. So that's the green button. All right.
How many questions are we talking?
We're going to do 5. Just 5. Okay. And you're going to get that if the joke comes in. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Mr. As you figure out your answer.
Oh man, no, that's scary.
Crickets, if you're wrong. And you're going to get the little boom. Okay.
I like that sound.
Well, that's if you get it right.
Okay,
all right. All right. So here we go.
Jesus.
First questions. The category is movies. Which character from Cooley High was a regular cast member on A Different World? Was it A, Tyrone, B, Coochie, C, Pooter, or D, Preach?
D.
Wait. Oh, that's a laughter. Okay. All right. Oh, that's crickets. Wait. We still figuring it out. There we go. You got it right. I held you in suspense.
Yo, my heart, I'm like, damn, like I don't even really watch movies like that. So I was like, oh boy, here we go. We're starting off with movies. Thank God I got that one right.
Right? Exactly. Okay, wait. Okay. All right. We're trying to figure this out. I just got this. I want y'all to know that. I just got this. Okay, we know that one. Okay, mysterious. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Once again. Next question. There you go. This is about life. What does it mean if your ear keeps itching? A, you need to wash. B, someone is talking about you. C, you need to see a doctor. Or D, you're about to fall in love.
Someone's talking about you.
Oh, dang, that was the wrong one. I got excited. You are
Hey, 2 for 2.
2 for 2. All right.
Come see me in the gym.
All right, here we go. Wait. There we go. Another mysterious. What do we have coming up next? We're pulling all these things out. I got questions everywhere. All right. Here we go. We're going to ask you this. This is about music.
Yes.
When he sings, it makes you want to fall in love with somebody. Is it A, Barry White, B, Luther Vandross, C, Teddy Pendergrass, or D, Marvin Gaye?
I mean, what? There's a correct answer to that?
It's a correct answer. You got to figure it out.
Makes you want to fall in love
with somebody. Which one?
Barry White.
Oh, you were. I'll give you that one. Because I understand. All right. Here we go. That's 3? So you got 2 more. All right. Mm-hmm. This is about television.
Oh, man.
Listen.
Boy, thank you. I'm like, I need it. I'm like, man.
How many fights did the Fresh Prince get into before his mom got scared?
1.
Correct. I'm loving these hotkeys too much. All right. This is the last one.
Oh man.
Let's figure this
I
out.
hope I'm making black. My black card is still it's still in play.
Your black card is still in play. You're close. Last question. And this is about life. What does it mean if your hand is itching?
Ooh, I know this one.
A, you got debt to pay. B, you're about to lose your hand. C, you need to wash your hand. You need to wash your hands these days and wear a mask. All right. And D, you coming into some money.
So, it's only right. I know the real answer is you coming into money, but C, and given the pandemic, if your hand is itching, you also need to wash your hands. So, but we know the real answer is D.
Okay, I was about to.
No. I know the answer. I know what the answer is, but I'm just saying, seeing that this is like the COVID edition.
Right. There you go. You said it. Get an applause for that one. You get an applause. Well, Noelle, you have played the game and you won. You get laughter, though. You don't get no more applause.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being on my podcast and for being a good sport about this game. I appreciate you. For all of my followers that want to follow you, give them your social.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Noelle, Noelle, Chesnut, Chesnut, no T in the middle, Whitmore, Whitmore. So at Noelle Chesnut Whitmore, no T in the middle of Chestnut.
Guys, make sure you follow her. Make sure you're following her moves and follow her on Clubhouse.
Yay.
She got some big stuff coming soon. Lion King Part 2. I'm joking. But something similar to it, obviously. Once again, thank you so much. Guys, follow me on social media at J.Belle. That's my Instagram, JNELLEBELLE. And on my Twitter at J.Belle on air. It's a little bit raunchier on there. Until next time, we're gonna have a wonderful season. I already can tell because this right here was awesome. Had a lot of fun with you, Noelle. I love your name. I love everything about you. And and guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Be blessed, stay masked up, and stay safe. Okay. We don't need any more of these numbers going up, and just be happy that in less than a week the orange man will be out of office by the time that this airs. All right. All right. Exactly. So, bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you for everything.